How can this forensic psychiatrist who's worked with the Mercedes Formula One team, the Arsenal Football Club, and the New Zealand rugby team, aka the All Blacks, help you to be a better player in the finals? Let's find out by looking at one core idea that allows those top sports people to perform under pressure. G'day, Rockhound here! With the finals release date being maybe days or at the most a few weeks away, you're probably starting to think about that first tournament that you jump into with your team and then starting to climb the ranks. And maybe this is the first time you've considered really having a crack at climbing the leaderboard in a competitive shooter game, and you're looking for ways to help you do that. Now, there are already a few great videos out there from other content creators about tactics for each of the builds, and I definitely recommend that you check out content creator Thixie's channel for some great tips on specific builds. However, in this video, I want to do something a little different by having you step back a little and look at some overall ways that you and your team can get a mental edge on your opponents every single round that you play. You might even find that you end up applying these sports psychology skills to dealing with pressure in real life. But do not fear, this ain't going to become a life coaching channel. Anyhow, let's dive in. This is Dr. Ceri Evans. He's a forensic psychiatrist. In 2018, he was made a fellow of the Royal College of Psychiatrists, but he's perhaps better known as a consultant to the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team, Arsenal Football Club, and the New Zealand rugby team, aka the All Blacks. He started working with the All Blacks back in 2010 after they had not won the Rugby World Cup since 1987. That's 5 consecutive world tournaments without one of the best teams in the world taking the top prize. A pretty embarrassing string of failures for a team who are amongst the most feared in any sport. After starting to work with Dr. Evans in 2010, they went on to win 2 Rugby World Cups in a row. A big part of that success was that Ceri taught the team a simple mind model that teaches us about how our mind works when we're under pressure, whether it be facing a World Cup final or trying to win your way through a ranked tournament of the finals. It's called the red-blue mind model. When you come under pressure at a non-complex level, the mind is divided into 2 systems. One system is primed for survival. Its great strength is that it's extremely fast, it's automatic, it's the gut feeling, it only works on what it sees and feelings. That is simply called your red mind. It's the red mind that makes those quick flick headshots with an RPG as you're flying up a zip line, and in real life, it's the one that decides between fight or flight, or if you get trapped, you freeze. You might have heard of those before. The other system is about potential. It runs on logic, words, numbers, sequences, and that metacognitive ability. It plans, it reflects on the past, and it thinks about the future. It's the thinking brain. It's a slower, cooler system, and that's called your blue mind. Your red mind works in the here and now, and the blue mind does the planning. So we have these 2 systems in our mind, and we ebb and flow between them, and they interact. But it's not a fair fight, and unfortunately, in order to make sure your cave-dwelling ancestors weren't eaten by tigers, the redhead evolved to be much more powerful than the bluehead, and can take over very easily. And in a game situation, that means you can fail to process all of the information well. You can tell when this is happening because you'll start to act impulsively, looking for opponent after opponent to shoot at, and maybe start playing in a way that you'll look back on and go, why did I choose to do that? That was stupid. And maybe it'll cost you the game. That's the red mind completely taking over and the blue mind losing control. But the blue mind has the ability to dampen down the red mind and have influence over it, allowing it to work on the things it should be working on. But if the blue mind takes too much control, we can start overthinking, suffering paralysis by analysis, and you might be able to recognize these moments because everything will start to feel like it's going too fast for you. You start to feel like you're not in control and you don't know what to do next. Whereas when the red mind is working fully and focused on something the blue mind planned for, you start to feel like everything slows down and you feel like Neo from the Matrix dodging bullets. Those great plays all just seem to come naturally to you, and you have a sense of timing and feel. And the red-blue mind model says we need to learn how to make that check. Are we operating with the right mix of blue and red mind? And is our red mind working on what the blue mind planned for? And so what does that mean for you playing the finals? Well, for any given moment, it depends on what you're doing. In the middle of a gunfight, you're going to need more red mind for those rapid actions, but when you need to think and navigate around a game plan or strategy, strategy as you approach a defended cash-out station, for instance, you need more of a blue mind clarity before unleashing the red mind. So the idea isn't that the red mind is bad and blue mind is good, but that you need a combination without allowing the red to completely take over. You might notice when red is taking over with yourself or your teammates in game when an opponent starts to retreat and you find you or your teammates chasing them a long way from the cash-out station. That's your red mind taking over and focusing solely on the gunfight and not the strategy of protecting the objective. In the finals, you see it all the time when players are running all over the place and no one is focusing on the cash-out. Many times now, I've looked at the cash-out and just walked over to it and stolen it because everyone is too busy fighting each other around the perimeter. When your blue and red mind are in balance, you gain the clarity to see that other players aren't paying attention to the cash-out station, and you can simply run over to it and make the steal because your opponents have let their red minds take over too much. So how do we get our red mind and blue mind working correctly, being balanced in the middle of a game, especially when things aren't going well? Those moments when we're most under pressure from our own judgment of ourselves and maybe judgment from our teammates to perform. Well, think about this for a moment. If you were competing in a physical sport and you wanted to improve on something like your running speed or your agility, your coach might suggest an activity that lets you specifically improve those skills, like going to the gym and doing a simple physical task like bounding or some other high-intensity move to prepare your body for these physical tasks in the sport. You might push your body to the limit at the gym, doing this over and over, often to the point of failure, aiming to see a physical change in your body over time. Similarly, for playing an FPS game, you might jump into an aim trainer like Kovacs a few times a week to improve your gunplay skills. But what can you do about your mind when failures are occurring and your red mind takes over? How can you force that to make a change? These are the 4 easy to remember steps that Dr. Ceri Evans recommends. Number 1, acknowledge failure. Firstly, you need to acknowledge that failure is occurring and that the red mind has taken over unsuccessfully. The scoreboard will probably reflect the failure already anyway. Another way to tell that failure is occurring is if you or your teammates are complaining. That's a strong signal that things aren't going well. Acknowledging that there's an issue can be the hardest part in some ways because none of us like confronting ourselves or our teammates to address a skill deficiency. Judgment is where pressure comes from, but chances are you were already starting to judge yourself anyway. But just like accepting that you can train to run faster, jump higher, or shoot more accurately, you have to accept that the in-game outcomes not going well for you and your team is a sign that you need to work on how your mind is managing your skills. Once you've accepted that there is an issue and you've voiced it, that's when you need to start the next 3 steps, and they're easy to remember. Step back, step up, step in. Step back. Once you acknowledge things aren't working, the next step is to step back. You can do this once you are out of the immediate gunfight, or often if things aren't going well for your team, the opportunity to step back will be during a team wipe respawn timer. I highly recommend you start this moment by taking a big, slow breath, and be conscious of yourself taking that breath. Literally think, take a breath. Take 2 or 3 seconds to do that. The slow breath and your focus on it will help you to dampen your red mind and let the blue mind come forward with a plan. It's essentially a mindfulness or meditation technique that you are using very briefly to clear the path for your blue mind. Once you've taken that breath, think about what the problem is. You can't change what you can't see, so try and put the failure into simple terms, like saying, hey, each time we start to get near the cash out, we're getting spread out and the other teams are picking us off one by one. Then step up. Okay, now you know the problem, you've stepped back so you can see it, and now it's time to step up. Stepping up is a conscious blue mind decision to extend yourself and make a plan that differs from what you've been doing up to that point. And it might be something that is a new skill for you, so you have to step up and extend your skill set. It might be you saying, okay, the next time we get to the edge of the cash out building when we're attacking, let's take a moment and pause and fully regroup before entering as one. You now have a blue mind plan, and it might be one that you haven't even tried before. Step in. Now you have the blue mind plan for stepping up, it's time to step in. Stepping in is taking the required action and letting the red mind join back in again alongside the blue mind's plan. And this is the key moment. Can you maintain strong blue mind, clear thinking while you're in the middle of red? As I mentioned earlier, one of the signs that blue and red are working together well is that everything will start to feel slower. You feel like Neo dodging those bullets in the Matrix, and you can see the plan unfolding in front of you. you. So let's run through that quickly again. Acknowledge failure, accept things aren't going well, and that you need to take that breath and step back, step up, step in. Step back, take a breath, dampen the red mind, let the blue mind back in and say what's going wrong. Step up, make a new plan with your blue mind to combat it, even if you've never tried it before. You're about to grow your skill set. Step in, take your blue mind plan and open the throttle on the red mind actions as you put the plan into practice. And then there's actually one last step, and that's reviewing things after the round. Were you able to keep a good blend of your red and blue minds, or did red take over and things got chaotic? Or did you spend too much time overthinking and not enough time taking action? When the finals launches, let me know in the comments below if you tried the routine of acknowledging failure, step back, step up, step in. If so, how did it go for you? If you've been playing with randoms, you can still apply this sports psychology routine to yourself, but I'm guessing that if you're keen enough to apply this to improve your results in the finals, then either you already play with some friends, or you probably look for other committed players in a Looking for Game Discord channel somewhere. You can't control your opponents, but with those steps, acknowledge failure, step back, step up, step in, you can start to control your mind so that you don't feel out of control, disorganized, and without a plan to combat your opponents. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Do the usual YouTube business if you want to see more videos from me from now on. Give a like or comment as you see fit, and enjoy the rest of your day. Kia kaha, stay strong.
Everybody knows the world ain't right. Down on your knees, get up and fight.